Today we will talk about flowcharts. Flowcharts are simply diagrams. We use them to see the flow of control of a program from the beginning until the end of the execution. In a flowcharts, we have diagrams which are symbols that we use them to draw flowcharts. The first symbol is an oval, and we use it for a start and end of a program. The next one is a rectangle, which is used for process, and for parallelogram, we use it for input and output. And finally, if we have a diamond, we use it for conditional. First, we will use these three symbols for basic programs that have input, and in the process we have an equation and we have an output. And then after we finish from that, we will introduce the conditional box, which is used for decision making. Our first example on drawing flowchart will be created from problem number 10, which is selected from the programming exercises that is available on your course content. The problem says that one large chemical company pays its salespeople on a commission basis, which means more sales, you will get more money. The salespeople receive a fixed amount, which is like fixed salary, 75.6 per week, plus 9% of their gross sales. As I said, mention it is on a commission basis. So the more sales you have, you will have more money to get 9% from the sales. For example, if a salesperson who sells this amount of sales, 1,890, how we can calculate his wage or salary? First, we will give that person, salesman or sales people, we give them the fixed salary, which is 75,600 plus 9% of this amount. So when we take 9% of this amount, then the answer will be 170 BD and 100 fills. We add those together, so the total will be 245 and 700 fills. Now it says that develop a program that will input each sales gross sales. So gross sales will be the input. So this is input, the gross sales, for 1 week. And the program will calculate and display the sales earnings. Earnings means how much the salespeople will receive. So an input will be sales, and output will be, so we have a calculation, we need to write the equation, and we need to display the answer as an output. Let me draw the flowchart for the problem. Every flowchart should start with a start symbol. So the first step is that you have to specify where your flowchart will begin. So we start by selecting a place of our beginning, and this is our starting of the flowchart. Then to go to the next step, you need to draw arrows that goes to the next step. Remember that for a program, you need input, you need a process and output. So let us concentrate on input. So for input, we need to display a message to the user. Tell the user, please enter your sales. And then after we display the message, then we need to read the sales. So we need two steps for input output, one for displaying a message and one for reading the sales. So we need two copies of this symbol, one for displaying the message and one for reading. We will make a copy of this symbol, the parallelogram. And first we need to use it for displaying the message. So we will enlarge it and let us write the message inside. So to read from the user, you display a message by saying print. Let's make the message short, and we say enter your sales. And then after we finish, we need to read the sales from the user. So we will copy it and I will paste so it becomes the same size, but inside I don't need the message. So I'm going to remove the message. And we write inside, instead of a print, we say read, and we give a label to the input, and which we are going to call it sales. And then we have to draw arrows to show the flow of control. First we start, and then from start we go to print, and then from printing we go to reading, and next we go for the next step. So these two are for input, one for printing a message and one for reading the value from the user. Remember that for any input and output, you have to use this symbol, which is parallelogram. Now for rectangle, we use it for processing. When we are done from input, then the next step we go for a process. And remember, for a process, we have a formula. It says that you add 75.6 plus 9% of sales. And remember that sales is now saved in a variable. So in your equation, you have to use this variable in your calculation. So for calculation, we use this symbol. So let us make a copy of this symbol, which is a rectangle. And then we need to paste it below, which is for the next statement, which is for the next step, sorry, for doing calculation. Now here we need to write the equation, and remember that we are going to call it, let's call it salary. So we will write salary equal, remember it was 75.600 plus 9%, which is 0.9 times sales. And in here, if you want to write an equation, then there is no need to stick with the rules of a programming language that instead of multiply, you use a star. Here you can just simply write an equation, even it's in mathematical form. So you can write 0.9 multiplied and use this symbol for multiply to multiply it with sales. And then you draw an arrow going from this rectangle for the next step. So here we have input, and here we have a process, and we need now output. After a process, we have an output. And for an output, we are going to use this symbol. Remember, we have input, we have a process, and now we need here an output. So we will make a copy of this symbol. Pasted. And now we need to display the result. Remember, the result of the calculation is saved into a variable which is called salary, but we should not just print the salary because we will see only a number on the output. So we have to proceed it with a message. So we have to say that your salary is, and we write the salary, like what we have done in Java programming. So here we need to write a print, and we put the message. We say your salary is, enclose the message, and put comma, and then put the variable for the calculation of the result, which is salary. And finally, after you finish, then you need to end your program by using the oval symbol, which is this one. So we will copy it, and we need to paste it at the end, enlarge it. But we need to change the label inside from start to end. So let us edit it. And here we need to delete start, and then we need to write end, which indicates the end of the flowchart. Now by going back to the flowchart, as you notice, we have started from this symbol, and then we went to the next two symbols for input, and then we went into calculation, and then we went for output, and then we went for end of the program. So this is called a flow of control. Start from top, you go to bottom. Here I would like to have some comments. Now if you want to display a result to the user, either a message or a result of a calculation, use the word print. So see here, I'm using a print, and for reading, if you want to read from the user, use the title read. So here it means read, and what comes after read, you will put the variables. So here you are reading sales, so define a variable for it and call it sales. This is one thing. Another thing, when you write an equation to do a calculation in the process, in your calculation, use the variables that you have read from the user. So don't define a variable here, you call it sales, and in the calculations of the salary, you use different variables. So they are not related. So you have to relate these variables. Any variable you define reading from the user, you have to use them in your calculations.